Building new habits is hard, and if you're a high achiever like me, you've probably tried to overhaul your life in one go on multiple occasions just to end up overwhelmed and back at square one. And here's the thing, for any goal you want to achieve, any dream that you want to make come true, you have to endure behavioral change. And the thing about behavioral change is it can be super hard because we get stuck in our own cycles and our own ways of doing things. And once we're stuck in those cycles, it can be hard to break out of them because they're just second nature, it's things we do habitually. But if you learn this simple system that I'm going to show you, my 4-step system for high achievers who want to make behavioral change and actually stick to their habits long term, then you're going to see massive, massive change when you make these 4 shifts. This is so important to learn because your life today is essentially the sum of your daily habits. Whether you are thriving or barely hanging on, it is because of the actions you are taking every single day. And 40% of our actions are self-conscious, habitual things that we do every single day. So can you imagine if we could tap into that 40%, how we could 100% shift and change our lives for the better? Right now, I'm working on a new habit of waking up earlier, and it's been a slow and steady process, a very humbling process where I've had to do my own 4-step framework on myself. So this is very fresh and top of mind for me, and I'm going to take you through how I've been implementing this new habit and how I plan to remain consistent over the next 90 days by doing these steps that I'm going to lay out today. All in all, if you start now, you can have the habits you want locked in now going into 2026. Hi, hello, welcome back to the Fire Inside podcast, the podcast for high achieving, ambitious women who want to reclaim 10 or more hours of their time so that they can grow their careers, remain consistent, and spend time on what matters most to them without burning out. I'm your host, Sade Kelly, high performance coach, mom, and wife, and I'm really excited for today's episode because I love learning about habits. I've seen the biggest transformations when I've been able to shift my habits, and even though it's always a humbling and sometimes difficult process, having these 4 steps is what I realized have made it really, really easy for me to create these habits and become disciplined over time. For most high achievers, the reason why building habits can be difficult is because we're used to succeeding, right? In the most non-cocky way, we are used to really doing well at a lot of things. We are probably the people who can learn something quickly and see success, or we worked our butts off and we always got the result that we wanted. And when we don't get the result we want, we kind of go into a spiral and we wonder if there's something wrong with us, or we need to just pick up a skill, or we need to just learn this next thing, or we need to just do this next thing, or we need to blah, 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 right? And what I've seen is that that is what keeps us stagnant because we believe that since we can chase big goals and see quick results, we believe almost that we always are going to get instant gratification. And that is not true because at the end of the day, we cannot control the results. And that's something I've had to accept. And it's something I've had to help clients accept, that ultimately we can take all of the steps, right? And we can do the work. But at the end of the day, what's going to happen is going to happen in your life. And we do not have control over the results. Only one who has control is God. Okay. So we have to release that control and just focus on the actions we can take. And I'm going to show you the actions you can take to start really getting habits ingrained. But one of the first things I need you to do is realize that it's going to be hard just because you're not going to see quick success. A lot of times with habits, yeah, you may be consistent for a week or you may be consistent for 2 weeks. And then you'll notice that by week 3, week 4, you tend to trickle off, right? Because life happens, something comes up, something throws off your schedule. You have to travel, you got to do something different. You got to call blah, 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 blah that messed you up. Like things will come into fruition that are gonna mess you up. And those are the things that people often don't plan for. And those are the reasons why people end up failing at trying to implement habits over time because they fall off the wagon and they never get back on. And my whole thing is like the research shows that all we need is 66 days to build a habit. Most people, after 66 days of doing something consistently, they start to have that habit ingrained. And now it's easier for them to follow through. But it's that first 66 days that can be the most difficult. But when you think about 66 days out of your entire, 80, 85, 90, maybe even 100 years of life, it's really not nothing. Okay. Like we can do this. 66 days is just over 2 months, and you can do this. You can follow through on something for just over 2 months in order to make it ingrained and have it be a habit that you can follow through for life. Now, when you think about it like that, think about that deeper why. Think about the results that's going to come of this when you can just be consistent over 66 days. It's just going to make the best change in your life, and you're going to be so happy at the end of this. So just push through and endure and treat it like a challenge, which for some reason always works for high achievers like me because, like, I love a challenge. Okay. I love to do something hard and prove somebody wrong. So, if anything, go ahead and, and use that as motivation. Step one of building a habit that sticks is to have a trigger. Now, a trigger can be something that just essentially reminds your brain to take the action you want to take. It could be a time of day, a location, an emotion. You can pick the trigger, but it needs to be something that reminds you to do this thing. Many of us think we're just going to remember. We're just going to do this thing. Oh, I've been doing it consistently for 3 days. I'm just going to remember to do it. And that's how you fall off, because you don't have a trigger or something that's going to remind you of the habit you're trying to build. Now, for me, simple thing I have for waking up earlier, my trigger is an alarm. Like, I just set an alarm, and eventually, as I did it throughout the week, I realized I didn't even need an alarm anymore because I started waking up before the alarm, which is great because my body's getting on this great clock. But you just want to set up a trigger when you're trying to implement this. Now, I keep my trigger as the alarm, and I'm keeping it because I want to maintain the consistency. But I realize, okay, my trigger is that alarm. It goes off at the time I want to wake up. When I wake up at that time, of course, the first thing I want to do is snooze and go back to sleep. I'm not going to hold you. That is exactly what I want to do, right? But I'm not going to do that because snoozing is the first failure of your day. It's the first time you go, I set a goal and I'm not going to follow through. And that trickles down to the rest of your day. Now, every time I say that, people say, oh my gosh, that's harsh. That hits me. But you need to hear it. You need to hear the truth because that is what's going to set you free, okay? When I wake up to that alarm, do I want to get up? No, I have yet to feel that yet. Okay, guys, I've been doing this for a week so far and I've yet to feel it. Okay, maybe after the 6 days I will, but I have eventually been feeling more energized at that time of the day. But most of the times I feel tired and I want to go back to sleep. But immediately what I do is go right into my morning routine. So I go ahead, I use natural cycles. And so I go ahead and take my temperature. Natural cycle is essentially like a contraception where you are measuring your temperature every day so you know when you're ovulating and not. And I use that app. So the first thing I do is take my temperature, do my natural cycles, and then I grab my water because everything's right on my nightstand. I drink my water. After I drink my water, I go immediately into my meditation. Now, so some people, this may not work, but this is what works for me, okay? I go straight to my meditation in bed because I'm not someone who's just gonna fall right back asleep. It just doesn't happen to me. Maybe once in a while it would, but for most part, it doesn't happen to me. I'm mostly awake and I'm sitting up in bed anyway. And I also don't want to wake up my husband. So I do it very quietly. I have my headphones in, I listen and do a meditation. After I do a meditation, I do my quick devotional. And usually I'm doing that in the motion of like getting into the bathroom, doing my bathroom routine. I'm listening to like an audio book or uplifting audio as I'm in the bathroom. And then after I finish my bathroom routine, I've started now journaling at my desk because what I realized, I like to journal a little more in depth. And if I stay long in bed, I probably will end up not getting to my office the way I want to at a certain time before my son wakes up. So I have at least an hour and a half to work before he gets up. And what I realize is when I'm making the gesture of going downstairs to journal, I'm also stopping by to get my tea. And then there it goes, a really seamless routine. And then I'm right down sitting at my office, journaling, drinking my tea. I'm starting to do my work. And by the time my son is up, I feel so energized and happy and like grateful that I've gotten so much done. So just that one trigger has really been benefiting me so, so much. Now, the second part of this process is the actual habit. This is essentially the action that you take. So like I mentioned, when I actually sit down and start journaling and doing my work, that is me ingraining the habit that I am waking up earlier in order to do this thing that fulfills me so, so much, right? So I guess technically the habit would be kind of both those things. It'd be the waking up early, going through my morning routine, but enduring and doing the habit is the second part of all of this, making sure that you're following through on that. And the key with the habit is to really make it small and make it manageable. So for me, I was like, okay, I want to wake up early at least 5 days throughout the week. I'm just not gonna sit here and lie to you guys. I'm not waking up at 6 something in the morning when it's dark outside on the weekend. Okay. I'll do that on the weekdays when I'm okay with that, but not on the weekends. So what I realized is okay, if I during the first week can at least get to 3 days out of the five, I'm killing it. Now I would have loved to get to five, but I successfully got to three. And now for next week, the goal is to at least do 4 days. If I get to five, that would be amazing, right? But I'm slowly going to build it up so that way eventually the five will be seamless. But I'm not going to try to just overhaul my life in 1 week and expect me to just be energized and everything to be go amazing, right? Because it's just unrealistic. So the whole point of the habit is to build it up over time. Now, the third step is the reward. Your reward essentially reinforces the habit. It's important to have a reward because it positively wires your brain to do the habit. Now, the reward for me really is just checking things off and accomplishing my first priority of the day. Like, I feel so energized and I see that my day goes better when I'm woken up, gotten things done in the morning. I feel like I've already checked something off because by the time I'm done with my work, I go upstairs, I have time with my son. That's when my husband starts to work because he's a trader. So he has certain times that he works, and it just feels like a more seamless schedule. Now, am I tired by mid morning? Yes, I'm more tired than usual. So what I've started doing is like I'll play with my son, we'll go outside, we'll do an activity that kind of gets me a little more excited, or I might even take a quick nap while he's napping. So I've found ways to kind of make up for the sleep, but another thing I've actually done too is like I started adding in magnesium into my night routine, which is helping me to get better sleep in general. So I'm trying to tweak and find different ways and find different rewards for myself. And another reward that I've given myself is being able to relax at night. So once I put my son to bed, the best thing about it is like I now can just relax right after. I can go watch a show, I can talk to a friend, I can color in my coloring book, I can take a really long everything shower, like whatever the reward is. And for moms, I mean, those are the small things, but they mean so much to us, okay? Whatever the reward is, you want to just make sure you are finding different ways to just check things off and feel like, I want to positively enforce myself and reward myself and give myself these wins because I'm actually following through on my habits. And then the fourth and final step is to track, right? You have to track your progress because what doesn't get measured does not change. Now, the first parts of this steps were essentially the habit loop that you've probably heard from James Clear or Charles Duhigg, but the last part of it is all mine, right? It's something I've used and works for me with habits, and it's something that I've also used with clients, and you have to track your progress. Now, I love tracking on like a habit tracker or on my Google Calendar. Like I will flat out like really update my Google Calendar because a lot of times, this is a little hack for you guys. A lot of times people set a beautiful Google Calendar or a beautiful setup Sansama dashboard, right? Or even Notion dashboard. And then as things don't go to plan, they never update it. So they don't have accurate data to use, right? So when it comes to this, it's almost like how a time audit would be. You looking at your time blocks and you're saying, okay, I set the time that I'd wake up at 6:30 or 6:45 or whatever, but I actually woke up at 7:20. Now, if you don't actually reflect that on your calendar, you don't have that record of it for the rest of the day. And the thing is, you want your calendar to be up to date because you cannot work off a calendar that you have time blocked based off a time and an action you did not take, because then everything else throughout the day does not fall into place. Like it's crazy, right? It's a small, simple thing, but I see so many people do it and it messes them up. So what I do to track is I look at, okay, did I actually wake up at this time? What did I do throughout the day? And I use Sensama to track my time, track where it went, what activities I got done, how long things took me, and I categorize it. And then I use that data at the end of the week to inform my next week, where I sit down and plan on Sundays, typically after I'm done filming for you guys, which I do every other Sunday. I plan how my week is going to go. So just doing this is going to help you so much, because when you are tracking and you are seeing your progress over time, you are holding yourself accountable. And when you have accountability, especially outside accountability, you are 95% more likely to actually follow through on things, okay? And when you don't have accountability, you're 12% more likely to actually follow through on the things that you say you're going to do. So make sure you are tracking. Have a simple habit tracker because it's going to help you so much. If you guys want a template for that, I'll actually leave one down below. You know what? I will give you access to the tracker that I actually only give access to for my clients so that you can start tracking your habits, and I'll give that for free, and I'll leave that in the description. So go ahead, enter your email, your name, and I'll send that directly to you. And then I want to leave you guys with just some overall common challenges that may arise, because there are going to be obstacles that arise. When you're doing this whole thing, trigger, habit, reward, and then tracking, you're going to see success, but things are going to come up. So my whole thing is like, make sure you're pivoting based on life circumstances. Like for me, the first week that I started waking up earlier, one of the days I got my cycle. And for me, I know that I need more sleep during that time. Like usually I can get away with 7 to 8 hours of sleep, but during that time, I usually, for at least the first 2 days, days needs like 9 hours of sleep. So what I learned was, okay, those are the days where I slept longer because I was just exhausted, and I was okay with that because that's what my body needed. So moving forward, I'm going to go to sleep an hour earlier, take my magnesium an hour earlier, start my night routine an hour earlier to accommodate for what I know is going to come up and what I already know is a part of me. Another thing that was hard was not going to sleep with my husband. I really enjoy like having that time in bed with each other and falling asleep at the same time, or at least if he's on his phone, at least we're in the bed at the same time and I feel comfortable just sleeping next to him. And I had to let that go because some days he wants to stay up later. He has calls at night. He's meeting with his community because he's also an entrepreneur. And I have to be okay with like, all right, there are some nights where we're not going to go to bed at the same time. And I at least want to be in a deep sleep. And I want to have my earplugs in because I know he's going to come in and make noise. And I'm just a light sleeper and I'm going to hear him, right? For the most part, I haven't been hearing him when I have my earplugs in. I've taken the magnesium and I'm in a deep sleep. So that's been working. But those are just some common hindrances for me that came up that I know there's going to be hindrances that come up for you. So think about what obstacles may come up for you and how you can tweak and change things so that you can be consistent, because let's not act like we live in a perfect world. Things are going to come up. Let's be realistic in how we shift things around so that we can actually be consistent with our habits. So of course, as your action item, I want you to pick at least one habit that you want to start implementing as you are entering the end of the year and something you want to be killing it at in 2026. Because if you start now, you have more than 66 days to get this thing done, right? So go ahead and think about what is that habit you're going to be doing? How are you going to trigger yourself? By location, by something you're already doing, by an alarm? Like what is going to trigger the habit for you to implement? What habit is it going to be? So how are you going to implement it and make sure you're doing well with that habit? What is the reward going to be that you're going to give yourself every single day? And the rewards can change and shift. It doesn't need to be like I give myself ice cream, right? It could be anything. You can choose different rewards, especially ones that support your goals. And then how are you going to track it? You can, of course, use that habit tracker that I'm going to link in the description. And I can't wait to see your success. Come back to this video. Let me know how things are going. Tag me on Instagram or any other social media platforms where you can find me at Sade Kelly _ because I really want to see your success. And if you want to work together, you want me to coach you and literally help you through these steps so you can actually implement them long term and have a coach to help you figure out and tweak things and learn more about yourself way quicker than you could on your own, go ahead and apply for coaching. I will leave that in the link in the description. I can't wait to hear about you guys' success. This is going to work so well for you. As always, if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to share it with at least 5 of your friends. Like this video, comment something that was your biggest takeaway, as well as make sure you are subscribed. If you are not subscribed to this channel, make sure you're subscribed so you can get even more content. Thank you guys for coming back every single week. I will see you guys in the next episode. And if you have an idea for something you love for me to do an episode on, please leave it in the link in the description because I actually take you guys' considerations. Like as I get questions, people DM me or people ask me things, that is what I talk about on the podcast. So I would love for you to leave some topics below. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care. Bye.